Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now in session for this Tuesday, July 19th regular meeting. We're going to get started this morning. If you would, let's stand for the prayer and the pledge. Commissioner Ward, can you lead us in prayer, please?
Lord, we come to you today as we conduct our county's business. We pray that you will guide our decision making. We pray for everyone in the room and outside of the room. We pray it doesn't get too hot in here since the air's broke. We pray in your holy name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Mr. Chairman, as Commissioner Ward talked about during the prayer, so the AC is not working. It wasn't working from yesterday. They are actually next door trying to rebuild a part that's giving us a problem. So it seems cool now. It probably is, but it will heat up rather quickly here as it gets a little bit warmer in Franklin County. So just word to those that outside the room viewing on Forgotten Coast or Zoom, they realize what's going on. You know, while we might be moving a little faster than usual on certain things. So
Okay. Maybe we'll have a good cool day.
yeah.
It can happen. All right, up next would be payment of the county bills.
So moved.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. After that, we will have Williams Memorial, CEO David Walker, and David Bowling from Alliant. Giving an update this morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is David Walker with Georgia Williams Memorial Hospital, CEO. Thank you all for giving us the opportunity to speak with you all this morning. Many of you know that Jim Coleman is no longer with Alliant Management Services, so I'm here today to introduce Michael Kozar, and then he will introduce David Bowling, who will tell you a little bit more about our plans for our CFO position. Michael.
Good morning, and thank you all for having me here this morning. As David mentioned, I'm Michael Kozar. Will be coming in as the new president and CEO of Alliant Management Services. A little bit about me. I live in Chipley, Florida. I'm also run the hospital there in Chipley along with my duties, moving into the new role and replacing Jim Coleman. I've been in hospital operations for over 41 years. I've run large hospitals, small hospitals, for-profit, nonprofit. Have been working with various hospitals in the region. I served as the regional CEO, and I worked with the hospital in Bluntstown, Opp, Alabama, Chipley, and Eufaula, Alabama. So in the new role, it's expanding my footprint a little bit, but I look at myself as somewhat local to the area, and look forward to working with, the county commission here, and again progressing the hospital forward and making healthcare as an important aspect of our community and as a driving force of the economic engine in most counties. The importance of quality health care is always forefront, and as far as the line is concerned, we will continue to drive that quality of health care into the communities that we serve, and to be able to expand on the services we offer here at Williams Memorial Hospital. So happy to answer any questions any of you all may have before I turn it over to David Bowling. And I know David's been working with David a lot longer than I, but David and I have had some conversations in the past on how we can work together. And also, just want to mention, Jim's efforts in working with Tallahassee Memorial and expanding our relationship with that, I think is something that's going to be on the forefront of us moving forward also. So be happy to answer any questions any of you all have of me.
Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. I'm Noah Lockett, District 3. That's the one I'm in the district with the hospital. And welcome aboard, first thing. But I still need to ask you a couple of questions, like, is we going, I need to know we gonna get the same service or better.
Oh,
Jim left.
well, and Jim was, you know, a good friend of mine, and was a great CEO of Alliant Management Services, and but I think, you know, with my close proximity, being in Chipley, you probably see me a little bit more than in the past because you know, it's not but a 2-hour drive, and you know, I'm here, and so I think that our goal as we move forward with the organization, and David and our whole team, Tom Ramsey, Paula Moore, David Bowling, and myself, we're going to be under the new format. You're going to see more of us, and you're going to see more of the capabilities of Alliant than what we've been able to demonstrate in the past. And I think it's important for us to be able to bring the various expertise. You know, in Alliant, each one of us has a varied background with different expertise. And one of our goals moving forward is certainly to be able to demonstrate those expertise and bring those expertise to each hospital that we work with. So I'm excited about the direction that we're moving in, and I think you'll see as good, if not better, attention and focus from Alliant moving forward.
Okay, and the second question will be is, how's the money? Our money is stable?
Well, I'm going to let David talk about the financials and that aspect of it there, but you know, because I'm just getting up to speed, so I don't want to say something that I would be out of line on, but I'm going to let David, you know, kind of address the money aspects of that. So.
Okay, and once again, welcome, Bowden. Thank you for your answer.
Well, thank you. Any other questions I could answer? And I'll announce David's new title as far as Alliant Management Services. David's new title, he has been the Regional Chief Financial Officer, and David's new role will be the Chief Operating Officer of Alliant Management Services. But again, to Commissioner Luckey, that, you know, I think the level of service that we're planning to bring will even enhance the relationship. So, David.
Thank you. Good.
Good morning. Thank you, Michael, for the introduction. But as Michael mentioned, I'm David Bowling. I'm the Chief Operating Officer with Alliant Management Services. To answer your question about the cash and the position for the hospital, it's in a good position currently, and we certainly expect to continue to expand and grow the services within the hospital. One of the updates I did want to provide was with the recent departure of the Chief Financial Officer at Weems Memorial Hospital, our plans going forward with providing services to Weems. And certainly Alliant's going to continue actively recruiting for a full-time Chief Financial Officer for the hospital. But while doing so, Alliant will be stepping in to help provide that interim financial services for the organization. And what that will consist of, Alliant representatives will be available off-site and on-site to support the hospital with the endeavors of the financial services. They will be attending all scheduled meetings and obviously mutually agreed upon services that the hospital will need to continue with that. Those services will include the compilation of the financial statements, the routine communication to the board of directors related to the financial performance of the hospital, obviously that continued financial leadership, support, guidance to the hospital team, and in addition, you know, helping to still foster and lead that integration of the electronic health records that the hospital has switched over, and that integration still is underway today, and the financial leader will help continue to lead that process as well. You know, again, that's and any other financial related matters that David and or the team there locally needs and support, Alliant will be stepping in to help provide that leadership for the hospital, all while we're actively recruiting for that full-time CFO position.
Go ahead, sir.
I got one more.
Go ahead, sir.
On the table, I mean, well, we've been talking about it for the last 18 years. But we supposed to be building a hospital. But we had, went through USDA, got a loan, but that misfired. We need to know the numbers, where we at, and when we gonna start. So we don't wanna wait. I mean, I guess my question would be, is it not time to put in for another loan so we'll have it instead of getting it at, instead of that prolonging the issue? If it's, if we be in financial
Right.
status to build,
Yeah.
would it be proper to
Well, that's
redo
some.
them process papers now?
Yeah, no, that's something certainly for us to evaluate and look at as far as initiating a new loan or continuing a loan process. What our plans today would be is to continue to move forward with the plans for a new hospital for this community. What we would like to do in our plans for this upcoming year, this upcoming fiscal year, is to certainly conduct and host a board strategic plan. And again, what that would involve and will involve would be key stakeholder interviews, which would involve certainly the folks here in the room and others within the community, as well as obviously the hospital leadership, the physicians and so forth, determining what services this hospital and this community and the patient care that can be delivered to this community. A physician needs assessment is part of that as well, to determine what types of physicians need to be brought into the area. All this will be working closely with Tallahassee Memorial as well to help us determine, what sources that we certainly need to bring in. That to answer your question, as far as to help support the new hospital construction, new hospital build. So those plans are still in place, but putting a strategic plan together, that is certainly on our list that we want to accomplish this coming fiscal year that we're getting ready to start at the completion of this one.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other commissioners have any questions this morning?
Comment when you're ready.
All right, go ahead, sir.
I'm Bert Bolt, and I'm District 2 County Commissioner, and I just want to say, as I've said publicly many times, that the most valuable asset in this Franklin County community is the health of our people. And I truly believe that is a very, very important entity. And I am very pleased with Alliant Rural Healthcare coming in and facilitating the movement of our hospital. You can already see the many benefits that have occurred, that have happened with your leadership. And I just want to give you my pledge that I look forward to continuing to support you and working with you every day. And thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bolt. Thank you.
All right, any other questions, commissioners? Sir, thank you for your time this
Thank
morning.
you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, all of you.
Thank you.
Y'all take care.
All right, up next, public comments, Mr. Bruce Hoffman. If you would please come forward and state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes, sir. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning, thank you. My name is Bruce Hoffman, and I'm here representing the Apalachicola Volunteer Fire Department. And to let you know that we have an issue, and I'm here to request your assistance, short of begging for your assistance, imploring that we do something. I've been a volunteer firefighter most of my adult life. And when I moved to Apalachicola 3 years ago, I immediately volunteered. And at that point, discovered that we have a communications issue between the fire departments, the EMS, the county, dispatch, the sheriff's office. In short, apparently, as I've been told, right after or during Hurricane Michael, we lost a tower at the airport that maintained our radio repeater. And because of that, we can't communicate with each other. Literally, if I go into a burning building with my colleague Scott here, and the roof looks like it's going to come in, we're inside a building with no radios. We have to send a third volunteer firefighter in to risk their life to get us out before the roof collapses because we can't communicate. If we're waiting for as medical first responders, we're unaware where an ambulance is coming from when we first respond to a site. If we have to wait for the ambulance to come from Carabel, it may be 20 to 30 minutes. We have no means to contact the drivers of the ambulance. We have no ETA, so we're there again without communications. I've been told by various individuals that it's a county issue. Some say it's a city issue. Somebody else told me it was the sheriff's department's issue because they run communications. Someone said, call Mr. Marone. Someone said, talk to the sheriff. I've spoken with the dispatch folks. They're not really crazy with us because every time we do get a page out, we can't understand it. All we get is static on our pagers, so we have to end up calling the 911 center to find out where we're going. That takes valuable time. You know, if you have a 2-year-old that's unresponsive, having a seizure, a family member that's having a heart attack, and we may be 5 minutes away, but we don't get there for 15 to 20 minutes because we can't get the information to know where we're going. At the same time, when we do finally get the information and we find it's an unresponsive 2-year-old, then we take off. And now the city of Apalachicola has told us if we exceed the speed limit more than 5 miles an hour, they'll ticket us. So it's kind of a domino effect because we can't communicate with each other. We also get 5 or 6 first responders showing up for what could be just a lift assist call where one person could handle it, but we've taken 6 people out of the loop, 5 or 6 people out of the loop to get there because we have no means to communicate. So I'm here today to ask you to please do something about this situation. If it indeed is a county issue and we need a repeater put back up on the tower, please do so. We've provided information to both the city and the county on the cost of doing this, and this has been going on almost 3 years now. Before somebody gets hurt, before I end up dying in a building or Scott ends up dying in a building, would you please fix our repeater so we can communicate and use some radios? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if we may, let me stop this for a second. So, I'm hearing 2 separate issues. One is that they have a radio issue between the firefighters that they can communicate themselves. I was unaware of that, and we need to look at that if it's just, you know, reinstalling the repeater and the tower, whatever needs to happen for that. The other problem, and Renee from dispatch did call me, gentlemen, so I just want you guys to know that. The sheriff's dispatch administrator, that might not be her title, but the problem is the same problem we talked about years ago when the board paid, how much was it to replace the console out there at the sheriff's department after lightning struck the older console, and the sheriff's department and dispatch said basically they wanted all the volunteer firefighters volunteer fire departments to upgrade their system from the beepers to using cell phones with the text that would inform everybody where they are, and the text would then transfer to the GIS map that they have, the CAD, and they could see where all the firefighters are. Some of you might not have been on the board at that time, but the ones that were, I hope we remember that discussion we had in here. That was met by resistance from your volunteer fire departments because they did not want to upgrade that system that they had. They wanted to keep the beepers. I'm not saying all the fire departments, I'm just saying there were some. And we kind of said, well, okay, we're going to leave you to your own accord until the time comes. So, and Renee is in total, she said, Michael, we need to upgrade all the fire departments. And I don't want to take away any of Commissioner Bolt's fire from last night's meeting where the 2 gentlemen, the 2 fire coordinators, part of the group was here and they said the same exact thing. They talked with the Lanark Village, Lanark St. James community that was here last night saying, yes, you need a better notification system and something that would allow dispatch to easily reach you in an easier manner and then be able to track you and realize who's responding to what call, you know, how many are responding, and all that could be tracked at dispatch. So yes, this is where I said years ago, you know, we all talked about we were going to end up at some point and we would have to make a decision, and based on that statement, we're here. So I don't know if the board wants me to try to get with dispatch, with Renee and all the fire chiefs and set up some kind of meeting, maybe similar to what we had here last night, where we can kind of talk about this and hash it out, and then I bring back information to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I think that that would be prudent. I mean, we can't have unsafe volunteers going into a burning building or go to an emergency call and not be able to get there promptly because they're having to call and can't understand the page. I understand that, you know, systems need to be upgraded and all, so that might be something we need to look at. And Mr. Hoffman, the issue with the city pulling you over for driving fast, is that, I mean, do y'all have a light on?
Yes.
Emergency light?
We have emergency lights on our vehicles, but currently, Chief Barnes is letting know to his officers if we exceed the speed limit, then they can ticket us.
I mean,
Mr. Hoffman, that's fine. Please come to the podium when you're talking there, so everybody can hear. Sorry.
We were informed at our fire department meeting last night that the city has let the officers know that they can pull us over if we exceed the speed limit by 5 miles an hour
While responding.
while responding.
that's something that
You
needs
know
to be
what?
looked into as well.
I have no comment for that.
I mean,
No.
that's not right.
No,
Yeah.
no.
That's not right at all.
I have no comeback for that.
No.
But, yeah.
What city?
City of Apalachicola.
Sounds like we all need to sit down and talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do think, I agree with Commissioner Barnes. I do think it'd be prudent for us to set up some kind of meeting and get everybody on the same page,
Okay,
regardless of what that takes on our behalf.
Yes.
okay.
We just need to do it. We have volunteer fire departments. They need to be able to communicate. They need to be able to respond in a timely manner. So maybe they won't get pulled over on the way to something. They need to be able to respond. So yeah, I support that 100%.
I'm the same, like, I'm gonna give me a second, give you my card, my email. I'll need a quote for the radio system because the radio system for you guys to connect with each other is a totally separate discussion from what we want to discuss about a dispatch being able to notify, you know, each fire department when there's an emergency or first responders. Because it seems like what happens with a lot of the fire departments, commissioners, is that dispatch gets to notify the chief notifies the firefighters, they notify him back, and he turns around and tells dispatch how many people are responding at what time. That, this is gonna come out wrong, that makes no sense. Not in this day and age, I'm sorry.
Seems like a lot of work.
And some people have a group text, there's so many different ways. We all need to get on the same page with the sheriff's dispatch department, so we're all working in the same manner.
Yep.
And Mr. Chairman, there sounds like multiple issues at hand, but we need to get them all hashed out and as soon as possible.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, I couldn't agree more, and we need continuity of communication. I remember sitting right there at that dais. It was November 20th, 2018, when I first came on this commission. George Pruitt stood right there and talked about this very issue that this gentleman is discussing right now, and I remember it very clearly. We saw an example last night of a texting system that can be done that is very, very clear, very much up to date for communication, and I think that's one model we'll look at. I
Mr.
appreciate
Chairman,
you bringing that to our attention. Thank you.
Yes.
also, I know you mentioned other fire departments, but we need to reach out to them too and see what their issues, if any, are, and try to address them all at the same time instead of Appalach come in and then
Yeah.
3 weeks later East Point come in. We need to, figure out and get everybody on the same page, in my
yes,
opinion.
ma'am. I would like to have that meeting with all the fire departments at the same time in the room.
Okay, that'll be
And,
good.
With the sheriff's dispatch, and we go from there.
Yes, you can.
I guess it's a lawyer, but see what the procedure was to get a emergency started with all these fire department involved. Matter of fact, I don't know who will be in charge of it, since it's Appalachia involved. In a situation like this.
Well, the county commission is the governing board of all 7 of the volunteer fire districts that this board created. So at the end of the day, this board makes the final decisions in consultation, in conjunction, and working with the various chiefs who represent the 7 districts. If in fact there's a lack of communications, I don't think anything would meet a better definition of a declaration of an emergency in order to purchase the equipment that may be necessary. But we don't have any information now on what equipment would be necessary or the cost. So I think what's in the works with Mr. Marone, getting that information and bringing it back to the board, and if there's a need to hold a meeting between now and the next county commission meeting, the chairman has the authority to call us an emergency meeting.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make a motion that we get this started and try to get it back to us by the next meeting or before.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Chairman, if I may add one comment to
Yep.
that motion for the board to consider. We have the Florida State Firefighters Association under contract for a limited purpose for the Lanark Village St. James Volunteer Fire Department. This might be a great opportunity to maybe expand their services, have Mr. Morone work with them, because I suspect they probably have a good idea, since we're already talking about communications equipment, maybe work in conjunction with them, because they may be able to get us access to we can maybe piggyback on another state bid communication system, so we don't even have to worry about declaring emergencies. I mean, this board's policy allows you to already purchase equipment by piggybacking onto contracts, in this case, that may have already been pre-bid under the state purchasing contract.
I'll second that motion, and
Okay,
and
add them to it.
yeah, add that to it.
Yes.
Add the communication tool to it, because
People, what the name of them people?
Florida
Y'all have to be
Firefighters
there.
Association.
Add them to it so they can be there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they're already in country now, so that'll be very good.
Yeah, but actually, last night, my intention was for them to, and we discussed it here at a meeting yesterday, for them to meet with Renee, and they kind of get an understanding of what we have and what they would recommend to her, what they think we need countywide, not just, I mean, we're starting with Atlantic Village, but it's, more of a countywide look.
Yep.
Get them involved in everything.
so I want to clarify for the public, we are past public comments. Mr. Hoffman was the only speaker card we had turned in today. We do have a motion on the floor that's been amended by Commissioner Lockley to help us address this volunteer fire department issue, and we have a second by Commissioner Bolt. Any more discussion before we vote?
And for that, you would need, this is on the agenda, so you need to call for public comments.
Yes, I do. Anyone in the room wishing to comment on this publicly, since it was not on our agenda this morning? Anyone at all? Seeing none, sir, see if there's anyone on Zoom.
There's not.
Okay, hold on just a second.
There's
Is
none.
anyone on Zoom?
No, sir, I'm sorry, there's not.
Okay. Commissioner Lockley, please proceed.
I went, come on, brother. I ain't know that this was going on.
I didn't either till last week.
Nobody did.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Obviously, none of us know, but we would have took care of them. And if another issue come up like this, we here to take care of public safety. And if something come up, let us know and we'll get right on.
Any more discussion?
Just one more thing, Mr. Chairman, Michael, you gonna get with the city in terms of the pulling over for going past 5 miles past the speed limit, and what we do about that?
Yeah, I'll call and ask, I'll talk to Travis here and find out what exactly is going on, and then report back to you guys.
Please do.
I'll try to stay out of trouble, so you guys don't have to come get me out of jail for, but anyway,
I don't
yeah.
think that'll happen.
I hope.
Surely
You
an
better
inquiry
not.
won't get you in trouble. Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous, 5-0. All right, up next, Ms. Michelle Maxwell, Clerk of Courts.
Yep, it's on. You're good.
Good morning, Michelle Maxwell, Clerk of Court. I'm requesting board action relative to the VAB Value Adjustment Board. As clerk, I serve as the secretary to the Value Adjustment Board. The department's function to this board is to accept, verify, and attest petitions received over the counter and through the mail, to work in conjunction with the property appraiser's office to schedule hearings and notify petitioners of their scheduled hearing. It is also this department's responsibility to attend the proceedings and make audio recordings and prepare advertisements as required by law. Last year, Commissioner Bolt and Commissioner Ward were appointed. Board action today is to request the appointment of 2 commissioners and to appoint Mr. Donnie Gay or another nominee as a citizen member of the VOB. And just for information purposes, it is the school board's responsibility to appoint one of their school board members and a business owner. So I just need the board to take action today to appoint the 2 commissioners and also a nominee as the or a citizen member of the VAB. And Donnie Gay has shown his interest in serving again this year, but it is your choice.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I don't mind sitting on the VAB board again if it's so the pleasure of the board.
Yep.
If that can we serve consecutively, or does that have to be a
Yes.
different commissioner?
No, you can.
Okay. So I'll volunteer for being the one commissioner as the
Okay.
pleasure of the board.
I'll do the same and
Okay.
be right there for you.
We, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think I know where Commissioner Lockley is going. The board has traditionally appointed members who are not running for office to the VAB board. Just wanted to remind the board, it's not a requirement of law, but
thought
it's
that.
been this board's policy since I've been here
Yeah.
to appoint members of the VAB, which do not include candidates. So,
Okay.
So that'd be fine.
but it is board policy. It's not a matter of law. It's just whatever the board chooses to do.
So,
You running, so
Yeah, let
Okay.
Commissioner Lockley go for
I
it.
make a motion to appoint Commissioner Ward and Commissioner Lockley to the Value Adjustment Board and to reappoint Mr. Donnie Gay.
all right, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any more discussion before we vote? This will be appointing Commissioner Ward, Commissioner Lockley to the Value Adjustment Board, as well as reappointing Mr. Donnie Gay.
be my last time, dude.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
All right. All right, now it's for Franklin County Schools.
We got somebody better than the
There
superintendent
you
here
go.
this morning.
Good morning. I'm Shannon Venable, the Chief Financial Officer for Franklin County School Board. The Franklin County School Board is requesting permission to add a half-mil operating referendum to the November 2022 general election ballot. The law changes this October, and school districts are no longer allowed to hold special elections. Referendums must be placed on general election ballots, which occur every 2 years. And the next opportunity before the current referendum in place ends is November 2022. This is the same operating referendum ballot that was last approved at a special election in June 2020. This referendum was originally approved in 2008 and it has continued every 4 years. The current referendum ends June 30, 2024. This referendum would begin July 1, 2024 and end 4 fiscal years later, June 30, 2028. This is a tax-neutral shift with no additional property tax levies to the taxpayers of Franklin County. It only affects Franklin County property owners, so if you are not a property owner, it doesn't cost you a penny. And property owners are already paying it anyways, because it really is just a shift of dollars that the school is already getting. We are moving it from the capital outlay fund to the operating fund. This referendum allows the school district the flexibility to use the funds to recruit, hire, and retain staff, increase salaries to be competitive, enhance school safety and security, expand educational programs, increase career and technical and vocational education, improve athletic programs, and share proportional funds with the Apalachicola Bay Charter School in order to continue and sustain improvements in the quality of the Franklin County Public Schools. The school board came to the commission a few months ago with a different referendum. The previously approved ballot language for the half-cent sales tax referendum is similar to the Weems Hospital 1-cent sales tax. The sales surtax referendum is specifically for school capital outlay projects. There are currently 25 school districts in Florida that have the sales tax, half-cent sales tax. It's a little different because residents, tourists, and people passing through the county help pay the sales tax, including the thousands of tourists who visit the county each year. That way, the burden doesn't solely fall to the homeowners or residents of Franklin County. The half-cent sales tax can only be used for capital projects such as facilities maintenance, renovations, and constructions, new school buses, and security and technology improvements. With the half-cent sales tax, the school district can raise a significant amount of money in a short period of time, meaning we would pay for projects improvements as we go. So the one before you today is to continue the half-mil operating, and the one a few months ago was the sales tax, the sales surtax.
What the sunset on this?
I'm sorry?
What the sunset will be on this one?
The sunset on this one will be June 30, 2028.
So move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Yeah.
second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Mr.
So
Chairman,
we
can
already paying this, right?
I just make one clarification for the record? All the board is authorizing is the referendum. We're not approving the language.
All right. Up next, Mr. Howard Neighbors, Superintendent of Roads and Bridges.
Good morning, Commissioners. How y'all doing?
Doing well. How you doing?
We doing, hanging in there. We got a few out that's sick this week, so I think I got about 5 out. So got the rest of the week, but we still maintaining cutting grass in the ditches, and I've been doing a lot of sign maintenance throughout the county. So and also the signs and stuff on the easements that we got on St. George Island, the trails and stuff. So we put them, a lot of them signs that we put up, they there for about a week and somebody gets them. So I guess we just keep replacing them.
Yeah.
We got a lot of roads to grade out. Just hopefully dry out through the week. Hopefully tomorrow we can start. So grade all the roads out through the county.
Sounds good. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Howard?
Yes, just a thought. Howard, do you know if these signs can in some way be welded in place rather than, you know, fastened? Is that a thought, and is it even practical to prevent some of the theft?
Yeah, maybe you can grind a bolt or something on back of it where they can't get the treads off or something.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they just pull the post up and take the post with them.
Oh. Okay.
All right. Howard, thank you for everything
Thank
you
you.
guys are doing. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all, Commissioner.
Yep. Up next, Mr. Fonda Davis, Solid Waste Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
A couple items on my report this morning. The first item was 2022 Franklin County State District softball and baseball team results. For board information, the Franklin County Dixie softball team state resulted in Darlings placed 4th out of 8 teams. The Angel X-Play placed 2nd out of 16. The Bells placed 6th out of 16. And Ponytail X-Play was state runner-up. The Dixie baseball team, Franklin County, placed 3rd out of 7 teams. Just a little bit of information there on that. The next item I have is the 2022 Franklin County Sharks AAU tournament. As the board had expressed support in the past for a basketball program, Mr. Allison Speed has stepped up and helped form the team. Mr. Speed has requested assistance from the Recreation Department with cost teams hotel expense when travel to AAU tournaments in Orlando this week here, 18th through the 21st. You can see the attached information. Again, like in the past, Mr. Speed has helped us with a basketball program throughout the county.
A motion approved by Commissioner Lockley.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ward, Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? I would like to say something just so the public knows. This team, I was looking at their schedule this week. They're playing a team from Puerto Rico, then they're playing another team from Florida, and then they're going to cap off the week, the 4th game. I don't remember the 3rd one. The 4th game is actually an international team, a team that's from. So, you know, our young men are there, and they're actually at the ESPN Wild World of Sports. So this is not just AAU. This is AAU on steroids. It's what everybody wants to do. You know what I mean? It's like taking our local kids, and I've been a part of this before, to a Nike tournament somewhere in Georgia. That is, if you're doing youth basketball, that's where you want to be. Okay? That's what you want to be participating in. And I'm glad this board is able to help in that. Any
Yes.
more discussion today? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, last thing I have, I didn't have it on the report, but just want to update you on the program, I'm sorry, on the playground equipment at Classic Laura and Carabel. It has been installed, so the kids are having fun.
All right.
I wanted to
Good.
make a comment on that, if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
I've just learned that we've been aware of that playground need for over 5 years, and this has not been anything of a surprise. And this is a budget item, and I really appreciate the fact that you were able to pull that money out of your budget with regard to the surplus sales that we had recently.
That's
I went
correct.
by and looked at that equipment. It looks real good. I can
Yeah.
tell you, though, that I hope that the park is used, because I couldn't see carb tracks or footprints or anything so far with that track being used. I also, with that park usage, I also want to point out that a half of, maybe a block, no more than that, right downhill from that park is Carabel City. Beautiful park with probably 5 or 6 acres with multiple activities there too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Commissioner, we
Thank
plan to add a couple loads of chips
Good.
in there also. So
Okay, then.
just a little bit more upgrade coming.
Excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
And the bathroom, do we need to rehabilitate that bathroom facility that's there at Classy Lowry Park?
Okay,
Just let us know what we can do to help to do that.
okay. Anything particular, just the whole bathroom
It just
itself?
seemed, as I went in and looked at it, it just seemed like, I think that ramp needs to be reinforced.
Okay.
With regard to wheelchair access, and I think just making sure that the facilities are operating correctly and working well.
We'll take care of it.
Good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else, Mr. Davis?
I do, Mr. Chairman, if the
Okay.
board is finished.
I
So I may
think so.
proceed with item number 1 on my report.
All right.
Is board consideration of the first addendum to the contract between Franklin County and Waste Management. The board was presented with information at your last meeting concerning the changes that Waste Management was proposing. I have summarized those changes in my report. The only question that was left unanswered, to my recollection from the last meeting, is there was a mention of a reduction in the tonnage fee, and that has been clarified as a $2 discount per ton if the county delivers more than 1,400 tons of trash in any particular month. I have sent the addendum over to Mr. Davis to review, and he is satisfied that it accurately reflects the negotiations of the terms or the terms that he negotiated on behalf of the county, in which have been presented to you. The existing 5-year contract from 2017 authorizes the board to enter into a 5-year extension based on the changed terms. Other than these changed terms, all the terms of the existing contract will remain in full force and effect. And one issue that was raised with me yesterday is, well, what happens if the primary landfill is closed and there was a backup landfill enumerated and identified in the original 2017 contract? Not that we necessarily have any reason to think the primary would be closed, but there is a backup identified just in case. So if the board is ready to proceed, the addendum is ready for your consideration and approval this morning. Mr. Davis, does my presentation accurately reflect
That's correct.
the agreements that you, okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Pleasure of the board.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Before Mr. Davis walks away, one thing I was talking to Aaron, so the process for the basketball, back to the basketball tournament, it'll be a lot easier on finance for bookkeeping purposes if we just go ahead and book the rooms on the county's credit card. The track, and then any other expenses, we could handle any other way. Is that?
Being that is already started,
Oh,
so I guess we have to reimburse.
okay.
Yeah.
So
All
what
right.
I understood, Mr. Davis, is that possibly could give the county the receipts for the stuff that.
Oh, we
and
do
then
it
the
through
county-
reimbursement. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I understood.
They're willing
Is
to
that
do that,
good?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll let him know. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Just one parenthetical with regard to Classy Lowry Park. I just wanted to also appreciate the public who has brought that park to our attention earlier on, that, you know, it just helped facilitate our knowledge in that area to get it done. Thank you.
Anything else for Mr. Davis this morning? Sir, thank you and your crews for all y'all do for the county. We appreciate it.
Sir, thank y'all for your support.
All right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For Mr. Davis, or is it distributed?
No,
Okay. Just make
Say
sure.
that after that. I'm getting called, I got a gentleman called me the other month. Stopped me from doing my work. Avenue D, that's in the city limit, huh?
Yes.
This man said, you know a luck? I said, yeah. He said, I want y'all to come out there and clean out my kitchen. Or the counter to come out there. I said, sir, we don't clean out ditches. I mean, we don't unstop and do that. But he said, well, I said, you need to contact the city. He told me, he said, city told him the county did. And they doing a lot of stuff like that, what they supposed to do. And putting it on the county. I mean, it's coming out the city hall. That's what the man said he called. So I said, you sure? He said, yeah, I called the city office. So I don't think that's right. But they gonna stop an ambulance. They need to stop them people calling. That's crazy what they do.
I'll make sure I speak to the city manager
Yeah.
about whose responsibility it is to clean up. It was his ditches, correct?
He said it was a pipe. It's one of them drain pipes. And he said it's busted or something. So he been calling them for 2 years. And they tell him it's out, we supposed to fix it. He said they busted because some days when people empty their pool, that the water, clear water be coming in the yard. I said, well, we don't have nothing to do with it. I don't think we do. I don't hold to.
You said that was on Avenue D, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right across the street from my house.
Yeah. Yeah, he's,
I've seen the neighbor, I would say, it's not county park, but that's a long time problem.
yeah. But he keep on, but he said they told him to call Mr. Marone. He said he had contacted you too.
No, I remember that phone call.
Yeah. I said, no, you got the wrong people. So get them straight, tell them, I don't mind getting the call. Just tell, I don't want them saying we supposed to be doing something they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying they having the conversation. I don't want the public thinking we supposed to, we not doing our work, cause they saying that.
All right?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Up next, Ms. Pam Burnell and Ms. Jennifer Daniels, Emergency Management.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
We do not have any action items tonight.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or concerns for Ms. Burnell and Ms. Daniels?
That was Dawn ready?
Yes, sir. If everybody in the county has a plan, we're storm ready.
I hope we don't have to use.
Me too.
Yeah, we need just 1 year of normal with nothing major going on, right?
Yes,
From
sir.
fires to hurricanes to worldwide pandemics. One regular year would be really nice. So maybe we'll get it. Anyone have any questions or concerns? Thank y'all so much for everything you do. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Eric Lovestrand, Extension Office Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, sir.
I don't have any action items for you this morning. Anything in addition to my report?
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Eric? Mr. Lovestrand, given the way things have been going, have you guys still been able to have a function in 4-H during the summer this year?
Yes, sir. The one club that we have active right now has some youth from the East Point area and Carabel area involved, I think mostly. And our volunteer leaders are still going strong with that group.
Okay. What about the youth archery? I think that's what it was, wasn't it?
Yes, that is the club.
Oh, that is
That's
the club. Okay.
their primary focus is the
Okay.
shooting sports program. Yes.
Okay. Very good. Well, thank you so much. Anyone have any questions or concerns? Thank y'all for everything you do.
Shooting folks.
Sir?
Too much stuff going on in the woods. Them bow and arrow things. Somebody get one real quick.
Well, I think the ones that got them, the ones y'all are using, Mr. Levestrand, for this thing are more like practice arrows, correct? They're not broadheads or something that can go through somebody, correct?
Absolutely. They're just target points. And bows are a youth model compound bow that's about 20-pound pull only.
Right. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you for everything you do. All right, Mr. DeWitt Polis, mosquito control.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
No action items, just typical report for the schedule and the trap counts and complaints. Just for information, I did start running a couple of ads with both radio stations for mosquito control, just to inform the public, you know, what to be looking for and our information to contact us. So that is running on radio on both stations throughout the county. Other than that,
Anyone have any questions, Mr. Polis? Thank y'all for everything you do.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. All right, Mr. Ted Mosteller, Interim Airport Manager.
Good morning, all. Ted Mosteller, Airport. I have no particular action items unless Michael has something from our engineer that I don't know about.
No surprises today, Ted.
I will say that we've had a lot of trouble with mowers at the airport. I had 3 mechanics working with me Thursday to get the old 997 working because wheel ran off of it the week before. And the new one, the new DD997, is going to have to go back to the vendor for warranty work. It's the old regen, or the new regen system on this diesel engine. It's nothing but a headache. It's a computerized engine. And because of the COVID and the shortness of people, we're having trouble getting it to Tallahassee. So we're working on it.
Yep. All right. Anyone have any questions or concerns for Mr. Mosteller?
Y'all doing about your leaks?
Sir?
How y'all coming with your leaks?
With the leaks, it's still in the mill. We've been discussing it with the FDOT, and John has been working on it, so it's still leaking.
Yeah, so Mr. Collins, when he was here last meeting, we moved that money, so they're going to try to get the package ready to be advertised to fix the FBO, the roof in the FBO.
Been pouring down since he
Sure yes, sir, it has.
Oh.
That time of year.
And I spoke with Jay at the airport, no, Stan, excuse me, and the FBO, and he said the leaks were minimized at the moment. It's more where the wind's coming from when it really leaks bad. And of course, the other ones that need attention are, they're not leaking too bad, but they're there. And we're going to have to work on them. And I will say that they had no particular report from the FBO. However, I would say traffic is up and strong. Lots of people coming and going.
Those planes.
Big bucks.
The planes, I mean, they fly over, yeah.
Well, in between showers.
All right. Anyone have any other questions or concerns for Mr. Mosteller? Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you for what you do.
Have you?
All right. Next on the agenda is FSU Coastal Marine Lab, Dr. Sandra Brooke, for the request.
She is.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Commissioners. I apologize for lack of camera on this laptop. So I don't actually have a camera, otherwise I would. I apologize. So thank you for considering this request. So as everybody knows, aquaculture, oyster farming has expanded rapidly over the last few years, and it's an unfortunate facet of that industry that they sometimes get significant sort of die-offs, mortality events. And so our idea is to, rather than have the shell just disposed of, thrown in the woods or whatever, that we would like to start a small pilot recycling program based in Alligator Harbor, close to the Marine Lab, and working with the farmers to collect their dead shell and then take it down to the Marine Lab and cure it and use it for restoration. We have buy-in from some of the farmers in Alligator Harbor, and we would like to place a couple of bins down there at Leonard's Landing where they bring in their boats. So this is what we're asking permission for from the commission, is the permission to put a couple of bins down there. The bins would be about 4 feet by 4 feet by about 2 feet tall. And of course, they would be bear-proofed and they would be locked to avoid people using them as trash containers. And we would collect them every couple of days. Obviously, we don't want smelly shells collecting on a public beach. And so that's essentially our request, and we're happy to accommodate any concerns by the commissioners. If this works and people collaborate with us and it turns into a going concern, our next plan would be to work with the Oyster Corps based in Franklin County, who already have a small shell recycling program, to work with the Apalachicola farmers to expand that shell recycling process. So with that, I'll shut up and take any questions that you might have.
Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, when the big old Noah Lockley Jr., Commission 3, when did y'all plan on opening the bay?
Sorry, were you asking about opening the fishery?
Opening the bay for oyster?
Right, that's not my, that's FWC's decision. That's nothing to do with FSU.
But ain't y'all do the recommendation?
Yeah, but FWC doesn't have to take our recommendations, and we're not talking about opening the bay at all, and that we're not even discussing. That's FWC's decision, not ours.
Well, when the study will be over?
The project is due to end June 2024.
24?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all finding y'all doing any good in the process? Is anything growing out there?
In very small spots, yes. In very small spots.
Dr. Brooke, the request you're asking today is to place 4 of these bins, correct?
Yes, it is. Sorry, I misspoke. I said 2, but yes.
Oh, it's all
4.
good. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, that's correct, Commissioner Jones.
We all can misspeak. That's not a problem. I just wanted to make sure. Any other questions or concerns for Dr. Brooke?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Dr. Brooke, not to put any headwind here, but do we need to get any permission from DEP or FD, the road department regarding any of this?
FDOT, I'm not sure of. I've already spoken to both the Ballpoint State Park personnel and Florida DEP, and they're both fine with it as long as it's the state park don't want it inside their boundaries, obviously, and that's fine. And FDEP is fine as long as it's above high tide, which it would be. The placement would be, if you're obviously familiar with Leonard's Landing, it would be on the eastern side, off of the beach, just back from the road. So I'm certainly willing to check in with FDOT to make sure it's okay with them. Yeah.
Ms. Brooke, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, Dr. Brooke, this is Commissioner Ward, District 5. Just a quick concern, the smell, are there any people living around where these bins are gonna be? Because of this, I'm concerned if there's people that live in that area, I'm concerned with the smell that these bins collecting these shells might give off.
Yeah, they can certainly get fragrant in the heat, that's for sure. There's nobody living close by in that particular area, but our concern is with the beach users. So since we're so close, we're going to go, well, regardless of how close we are, it's our responsibility. We're going to go down there every 2 days. If we decide that, you know, the flies and the smell is too uncomfortable for people, then we'll do it on a daily basis. We're literally 10 minutes away. So we are cognizant that that might be a problem, but no, there's nobody living close by that I'm aware of.
Yeah, and I confirm that. There's nobody that lives in that area at all.
I'm not familiar with that area.
Sure.
Also move to approve this.
All right, motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Good luck, Dr. Brooke.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much. We're thrilled. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, do you mind taking a break to give Courtney opportunity to set up?
Yep, we'll do 5
Thank you.
minutes recess.
When visiting our beautiful piece of paradise, please make sure you visit our local shops, restaurants, galleries, and take some time to experience something different and take a fishing trip or tour with one of our experienced guides. Our neighbors and their businesses are the heartbeat of our community. Thank you for visiting, and remember to shop local, eat local, and fish local. This message is brought to you by the Apalachicola Bay Chamber of Commerce. Fisherman's Choice Bait and Tackle has all you need for your day of fishing. They have fresh and saltwater bait, an unmatched selection of mirror lures, and a wide selection of Berkley Gulp, plus fresh and live bait and all the rigs and tackle you need for a great day of fishing, including brands like Penn and Shimano. They are also the only bait and tackle shop in Franklin County where you can get a fishing license. And don't miss their wide selection of marine supplies, coolers, and more. Fisherman's Choice is located at 330 Highway 98 in East Point.
Hi, I'm Carol Landis. I'm a professional realtor in love with St. George Island. When my husband and I and our dogs moved here in 2002, it was the beginning of an adventure that has never grown old in a community that is amazing. If you're thinking about moving to St. George Island or investing in our world-class real estate, then this community will be as important to you as the sand and surf.
Well, Kara to me is much more than an agent. She's become a friend, and since we bought the house, we've needed work done, and she knows everybody there is that can help us with that.
One of the key elements for the historical growth and value of St. George Island real estate is the fact that it's a great place to vacation and to live. The beauty of the Gulf of Mexico with its white sand beaches and blue sky has always been a magnet for me. It was love at first sight. As your realtor, I can help educate you on the various aspects of buying and owning coastal properties. From taxes to coastal setback lines to where to find the best oysters, it's all part of being your realtor.
Too often our friends tell us of it being a hardship to buy a house, and the agent was gone as soon as the closing. We've had quite the opposite experience with Kara.
If you're looking to buy or sell real estate on St. George Island, I'd love to work with you. please call or text me at 850-653-7753.
Remember when vacations were peaceful and relaxing? They still can be. Let us show you. Visit Florida's Forgotten Coast, the Florida you remember.
you doing, Courtney?
Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now back in session. We're going to
Recording in progress.
go into our Planning and Zoning Adjustment Board report with Ms. Courtney Bankston.
It's not sharing screen, is it? There we go. Why does it say draft on it?
Okay.
A.M.
What is it?
All right. First on the agenda, we have a variance request, two variance requests. The first one is for 700 East Pine Avenue. They are encroaching a max of 13 feet into the 25-foot setback to accommodate, and the 80 by 30 is actually not correct. They had a correction during the meeting. It's much smaller than that. I think it's like a 20 by 30 is what they said. Schuler, do you remember?
It was 1430, wasn't it? Or 1330? On the drawing, go to the drawings, Courtney, and it's on there. It's actually written, handwritten on
Right
there.
there, yeah.
Yes.
Is it 13,
Yeah.
I believe? Yeah.
Right. It's 30 feet wide and it runs at an angle. The most of the request would involve with 13 feet in the front setback, and then on the other angle, it's much smaller, maybe 3 feet.
Right. And this is being done to avoid messing with the dune, correct?
Correct.
That is correct.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Any questions, Commissioners?
That's good.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay. Next, we have a variance request for 575 US Highway 98. They're asking for 20 feet and 25-foot setback off of 6th Street, actually. It's not towards the US Highway 98 side, it's 6th Street. And me and Mark did the measurements. That right-of-way is a 100-foot right-of-way instead of a 60-foot right-of-way. So Mark was okay with them wanting to extend, because where their fence line is, they wouldn't even be outside that or even close to the right-of-way,
Okay,
even with that encroachment.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, Courtney, the P and Z BOA board recommended approval for this?
Correct.
Also move to approve then.
All right. Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's unanimous.
Okay.
Mr.
Next,
Chairman, before we move to the next item, can I make a record?
Yep, go ahead.
Commissioner Ward has asked me whether she has a voting conflict on this next matter because it involves her cousin, Chris Varn, sorry. She does not have a voting conflict, and I have advised her that since she does not have a voting conflict, that she is required by law to vote on this matter.
Is that
Thank
it?
you, Mr. Chairman.
No problem. Please
Thank you,
proceed, Ms.
Attorney
Bankston.
okay. We have the commercial site plan for 136 Highway 98. This was originally approved back in September, but he had to make a few changes due to time constraints and the cost of construction going up. So he basically just changed these closed up storage buildings into like the pole barn type.
Okay. So more open air type.
Correct.
Okay. So it's the same exact request. He's just not going to have enclosed buildings. He's going to have pole barns.
Yes, and the coverage, the lot coverage is just about the same.
And this was something we approved previously, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's 5-0, unanimous.
Next, we have an application for 160 East Pine Avenue for 14 by 24 storage shed. The reason why it's coming for the board is because this is in a C4, so it's mixed use residential, so they had to come for a commercial site plan for their storage shed.
And Ms. Bankston meets all the setback requirements and stuff?
Yes, This isn't after the fact permit because they didn't know that they had to go for that because they're C4.
Right.
Even though they're using it as residential use, it's both commercial residential. So they do have to pay a double fee for permit, but.
Okay.
So moved.
All right, motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Next, I have two sketch plat applications. The first one is called Destiny Subdivision. It's approval for 8 lots on a 9.67 acre parcel. The only issue, one of the issues that the board did bring up on this one, I think it's this one. Lot 1, as you can see, is very much in just all wetlands. So I don't even think that it's going to be considered buildable, and every single one of these lots, because of the amount of wetlands on it, will probably need a variance in order to build on the properties.
So, is it proper for us to send this back to P&Z and ask them to redraw these lines?
You could. If
Because,
you don't want
I
them
mean-
to even include that lot 1, then we could send it back.
Well, more than just lot 1, like you just said, Ms.
Yeah.
Bankston. Every lot we're looking at approving will need a variance to be able to build on it.
Yeah.
You know, that, I'm looking for consistency for us going forward. You know, 10 years from now, after this board approves these lot lines, and the board might have a completely different makeup than today, and they're saying, nope, you can't build there because of the wetlands, or won't give a variance, and that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
So I think it's easy to ask them to redraw the lines to reflect, I mean, they might only, it's not my property, but they might only be able to get 6 buildable properties out of it. I mean,
Instead of the 8.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a thought. I don't
Okay.
know if that's proper for us, but I just wanted to put it out there. Especially when I looked at number 1 when I was studying this.
Mr. Chairman, I have to tend to agree. I think we should table this and take it back to P&Z and
Okay.
maybe have the applicant redraw some of these lines so that he can get the best benefit out of his lot usage.
Okay. I'll also talk to him and to Roddenberry to see if they can draw like a little area as to what will be buildable space that they'll be able to use. That'll kind of give them a good heading on to how much of the lots they can actually build with.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
You know, relative to wetlands, I really want them to be cautious and conservative and very careful because, you know, I just see so much slippage of, oh, this property wants to build 50 feet into the wetland, and another property wants to build 100 feet in, and then 25. But, you know, it's more than just building into the wetland. You've got to move men and equipment into the property that's stepping on more than the encroachment to build what is allowed. And I just want to be sure that we are very careful in how we protect our wetlands, and I hope that they'll be very conservative in the redraw.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, it's a pleasure of the board.
I made a
Table.
motion to table.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
So we have a motion to table by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Bolt. So by tabling, you're agreeing to send it back to PZNA?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we're all understanding the motion. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay. The last one I have is for Coastal Paradise. It's 3 lots on a 5.5, you know, give or take, so parcel of land. And let me see if y'all can see that really clear. And they meet all of the requirements for size of the lot, buildable area. They've got an area back here towards the back that's got a little bit of flood zone, but most of it's high and dry. They do have a power line easement, but does not take away from their acreage for each one. And the board did recommend approval on this one.
Okay. Pleasure of the board.
Ms. Banks, Mr. Chairman, the P&Z BOA board approved this. Okay. And it's, I think, in an area that's already been developed with these, so I'll approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Yes.
I brought up at the P&Z meeting, and I'll bring up again today so the board considers this as you vote. The board's policy on in this particular area, you notice there are 3 lots on the north side and three other lots on the south side of 98. The 3 lots on the south side of 98 have traditionally been labeled, or however you want to call it, on the plat as not being buildable. And I did bring that up to Mr. Thurman Roddenberry during the sketch plat approval. So as this moves forward, I just wanted the public and the board to be aware that those 3 lots on the south side, other than perhaps maybe qualifying for a dock, they're not able to build any permanent structures on that south side of 98.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any additional discussion before we vote? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Baxter. We appreciate your time. Yes, sir. Hold on, Mr. Court.
That's on the water side.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They unbuildable. Why they still on the map?
Because it's still their property, I think.
Yeah, it's still
Right,
part of
they still own the property, Commissioner, but the board essentially is not allowed people to build things like gazebos or any other permanent structure south of 98. People really have not complained much about that, but they do want to have, and since they have water access, they do want to have and are entitled to have water access and a dock. So I think that's why they want to have it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Bankston. All right, at this time, we'll be doing a bid opening, correct?
That's correct. Okay, Commissioners, it's number 18 on your report. It's the St. George Island Boat Ramp request for proposals for the FWC agreement number 21107. And the board was requesting civil engineering services relating to the design and permitting of a wave attenuation device and a boat loading dock on the seawall outside of the existing launch basin. These improvements will protect the existing boat launch basin and provide a place to tie up vessels while the vehicles and trailers are parked or retrieved. Responding individuals or firms must be a licensed engineer in the state of Florida. And the selected individual or firm will have 360 days to complete the design and permitting for the improvements. And it looks like we only had one firm submit, and that is Dewberry Engineers from Port St. Joe, Florida. So with that being noted, you all will simply make a motion to release the bids to county staff for review.
So moved.
Yes.
A motion to approve that by Commissioner Lockley,
I'll second it with a comment.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Please proceed with your comment.
Commissioner Lockley, here's a tie-up for boats so that doesn't float away, that I know you like.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it
make sure we
also-
got that on there.
It also involves, Commissioners, putting a kind of a break wall there.
Yes, I saw
Because
that.
that boat ramp's bad when the east wind is coming in.
It's a buffer, yeah.
So they wouldn't let us, we've tried several times over the time I've been a commissioner, to put a break wall there, or a seawall, out away from, and they would not allow that. But this is actually going to be something that's anchored to the bottom, and the wall itself will float. But it's going to
Very
accomplish the same thing.
That's great.
Go ahead, Ms. Aaron.
Okay, yeah, we'll just release that to Mark for his review, and with FWC grants, it does not matter that there was only one firm that responded.
Okay. I want to make sure we clarify that before we voted, because we did a motion and second, we didn't vote, correct?
We did not.
I think that's right. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, Commissioners, item 1 of my report, the Alligator Point Beach Restoration Project Scope and Coastal Consulting Agreement. At the August 24th, 2021 meeting, the board approved a $200,000 grant agreement with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection's Beach Management Division for the design and permitting phase of the Alligator Point Beach Nourishment Project. As stated during the August 2021 meeting, the board is not obligated at this time to proceed with construction, only completion of the scope approved by FDEP. As part of the May 18th, 2021 discussion on the Restore program, it was mentioned that the DEP grant application was pursued with MRD and Associates as the lead in hopes of providing a design and cost estimate should the county wish to proceed with the construction of an artificial beach structure along the washout area of Alligator Drive. A rough construction cost estimate of $10 million was mentioned at that time, with conceptual
Initial construction funding sources of $5 million from FDEP and $5 million from the Restore program. MRD Associates submitted an agreement for coastal consulting services, which would be fully funded by the DEP grant and would conduct surveys, prepare a design, obtain regulatory permits, and develop a MSTU to fund the maintenance component of the nourishment project. The board paused on the task order due to the need for more information in regard to the differences between MSTU or MSBU funding. As the county has a grant to perform the work, and at this point there would be no cost burden to the county or the Bald Point Trust Fund, staff suggests authorizing the task order less the MSTU section of not to exceed $31,950, as there is a significant amount of engineering, calculation of quantities and costs for construction and maintenance of a beach. Once the estimated cost of construction and maintenance is known, that may in turn help with any decision relative to a funding mechanism for the maintenance of the project, if ever pursued. Board action to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the attached agreement for coastal consulting services for MRD Associates Incorporated, less Task 5 for the conceptual development of an MSTU, which can be discussed at a later date once preliminary construction and maintenance costs are established.
So move.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parrish.
Comment.
Yes, please proceed.
The purpose of this scope of work is to protect a $5.2 million investment of the rebuilt road at Alligator Point. And that investment is just something that responsibly the county has to protect. That road is an east-west thoroughfare for all traffic on that peninsula. It is also the link of the main water line going east and west on that property. And it also is a link for fire protection and emergency response. And that's the spirit of this project, and I'm glad we're looking at it.
Mr. Chairman, if I can make one additional thing.
Yes.
Not only does it protect the road that you mentioned, but it also protects other sections of the road that have yet been damaged. And this has been a statement I've made many times, I'll say it one more time, is that the erosion rate out there continues to move east. And if we want to have the road damaged again in other hurricanes, then we'll just let things be as they are. But if we can get a beach out there, the beach I can't guarantee the action of a hurricane, but can act as a sacrificial source of sand, so we're not washing out the sub-base of the road and then the road again. So the purpose of this is to protect other sections, not only the section of road you mentioned, Commissioner, but other sections of road that have yet to be damaged, and maybe prevent the people of Alligator Point from having to suffer another 3 years of driving in an area without a road. We're trying to keep the road in place is what this purpose is.
And I understand that we are not mandated by the state or the federal government to do this protection.
We are not mandated.
Therefore, this is a responsible act on the part of Franklin County to protect that road.
And actually, this task order today, Commissioner, it's pretty much just doing the scope of work that was actually part of the DEP grant agreement. So we're under no obligation to actually complete the construction project, but this is more of, fact finding on someone else's dime. So there's no cost to the county. There's going to be a lot of valuable information provided, and then at that point in time, then a decision can be made. It will be based upon science.
Okay, very good.
Thank you for that. Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Please proceed.
Did you hear that? Next item, let's see here. Alligator Drive Multi-Use Path Project, AECom CEI contract extension. The Alligator Drive Multi-Use Path is nearly complete, but there is an issue with the sod. The county is withholding the final payment until this issue is resolved. The contract with the CEI firm AECom is set to expire on July 31st, 2022. Since the project has not been closed out, the county will need to extend this contract. Mark Currington recommends extending it to October 31st, 2022. This will allow sufficient time for the sod to stabilize the shoulders. In a related issue, AECom has exceeded the man hours they originally estimated for the project, as the project has taken longer than originally anticipated. AECom has calculated their additional time as 115.5 man hours, which translates into an additional $9,895.71. Mark has checked with FDOT, and this can be an eligible expense that FDOT would reimburse the county for. To request additional grant funds, the board will need to submit a letter to FDOT requesting the funds for the CEI cost overrun. I have 2 action items. Board action to authorize and approve the chairman to sign the extension of the CEI contract for AECom to October 31st, 2022. And second action item, board action to authorize and approve the chairman's signature on the attached letter to FDOT requesting the additional grant funds to cover the CEI cost overrun.
So move.
Can they be joint motions
Yeah.
together?
Can we do
that? That would be
A
fine.
couple of them.
All right, we have a
Okay.
motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lockley.
Comment?
Yes.
This AECOM is a quality assurance intermediary engineering company to make sure that all the specifications of this road are properly carried out and of this multi-use pathway.
And that's one reason why, transportation grants will actually require a separate firm for CEI services, because they do catch any sort of discrepancies that, a contractor may.
That's good.
All right. So we had a motion, we did not have a second, correct?
We don't have a second yet. I haven't heard.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Ward. Did you?
Yeah, I thought Commissioner Lockley seconded.
Well, you might have.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I could be wrong. I'm just trying to make sure we have motions and seconds before we proceed. So, Clerk Maxwell, did we actually have a motion by Commissioner Bolton, a second by Commissioner Lockley, originally? Okay, so that's how it is in the record. Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Please
Okay.
proceed.
Okay, next item is for board information only, county budget update and budget workshop schedule. The budget workshops have been scheduled for Thursday, July 21st and Friday, July 22nd, beginning at 9 a.m. Upon conclusion of those meetings, the BOCC will authorize a millage rate that will go out on the trim notices. The proposed millage rate that appears on the trim notice will be the maximum rate for the upcoming fiscal year, barring rare circumstance. At this time, the preliminary 2022 county millage rate needed to fund the upcoming budget is 5.4707, which is also the current millage rate. The workshop schedule is attached. The preliminary budget request will be available on the county website for review.
Any
It's already
questions?
on it.
The budget?
Yeah.
It'll be there for the public this afternoon, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say, I think that's, in the history I've been on this board, the shortest report you've ever had to give.
I guarantee it is.
Oh, wait till Thursday, Commissioner. Wait till Thursday.
Belies the effort she went through to make that short report.
You will find out why.
Right. It's gonna come out
That's a
and
better way
bite
of saying
us.
that, Chairman. That's a really good way of saying that.
Yes. All right, so up next is Mr. Michael Marone, County Coordinator.
All right, try to be quick also, not as quick as Alan, but This Village Incorporated, as we all know, is a private nonprofit 501c3 corporation that provides a full continuum of behavioral health care along with child welfare and criminal justice services to Franklin and other area counties. To expand and upgrade their behavioral health services in Franklin County, they're applying for a grant with the assistance of Representative Jason Schultz's office and asking the board to sign a letter of support. As the deadline was on noon last Friday, July 8th, I asked the chairman to sign this letter of support with the anticipation that the board would agree. Sheriff Smith also supports this grant application. Board action to ratify the chairman's signature on this letter of support for This Village's grant application to expand and upgrade their behavioral health services in Franklin County.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second with comment.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Please proceed, Commissioner.
Just be aware that this Village is building a 3,000 square foot facility right next to Weems Hospital. So this is extremely complementary as we see the larger responsibilities growing here.
Any more discussion before we vote? Thank you for that, Commissioner. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous, 5-0.
To be on my report, the Chairman Jones, and Commissioner Ward at different times asked that I research the possibility of allowing users of the county's website agenda and minutes page the ability to search the minutes and agendas by entering a word or phrase in the text box. I contacted our website vendor administrator, and he said it's going to cost up to, probably, he said most likely a little less, but up to $4,300 to create this feature on the county's website, agenda, and minutes page. Keep in mind that once the application is created, if it's approved today, county staff may need to rescan some of the older minutes and agendas so that those files can be searched by the application. So basically, you now go, which by the way, I think it'll help the clerk's office a bit, because then less people will be calling the clerk's office to find information in the minutes, and basically they can find it on their own on the county's website.
Also move a comment.
Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Commissioner Ward, please proceed.
I just, and it was different times. I didn't know he had spoke to you about it.
Yes, I didn't let
I
you
was
know that,
completely
Commissioner,
surprised. But I will say that, you know, in the past, when I've tried to look up things on the county website pertaining to meeting and minutes, I couldn't find anything. And it was like, okay, what meeting was that? I had to go back and peruse the minutes, and it was exhausting. And as Mr. Morone said, people can call the administrative assistant, which is Jessica Gay, and get these and have her pull it up. But that just, to me, is an added job that she shouldn't have. She's got so much on her plate. I think it'd be easier and be more transparent to the community if we can have that. The reason why I came to you is, you know, have the community be able to go in on their own, type in, say, Lanark St. James Fire Department or whatever, and everything populate that was discussed within a certain search criteria from a date to date, you know, whenever they wanted it brought up or whenever they think it was minutes on that time, a time period, type in the search word, and then it populates all the minutes and such from that meeting so that they don't have to do a lot of research. I just feel like it'll streamline things better, and it's our way of being more transparent to the community when they peruse minutes and agendas.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Do you also think that it'll help with some of these public records requests?
You wearing my same shirt, you read my mind.
Way to go.
So that's the next thing. It would also help with yes, public records requests, because I can't say no, but I could encourage them to say, look it up yourself. If you still have an issue, you know, let me know, and I can kind of minimize that. Yes, Attorney Shula, I know that I still have to answer that request if they send for it, but I can steer them in that direction.
Well, I just said, would it help?
It
I didn't
would.
say it's going to do away with public
Yeah.
records.
You're not going to do away with it.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, just to clarify for the community, this money, it's really, it's a lot, but it's not that much in the grand scheme of things. It'll help cut down on the cost that the clerk's office is having to do on trying to research things for the community. This money is going to come out of the general fund, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say yes. Erin is paying attention.
Okay.
We'll say yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think this is an excellent idea. To have keyword searchability is huge in terms of saving workload. And our clerk is already doing it with the county clerk's office records with, I think, that Adobe application. So this is work time savings. It's a great idea.
Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, you didn't even say a word. I guess Commissioner Ward said everything.
Oh,
you
they
were
said
gonna
everything they said. There's no sense in
It was
repeating
about
myself.
actually, there was a separate conversation, but they said the same
Sorry,
thing.
Chairman.
No, you're good. It's
Yes.
all the same stuff.
Item C, as the Alligator Drive project is progressing, that we kind of just talked about a little bit, there is a need for an additional load of beach sand. The need for the sand it's not part of the original project scope. It's something that Dewberry and our office was working on. We thought it would be a good idea. So Commissioner Bolt will pay the $800 cost from his paving fund to have that sand delivered to the project area. I just need the board to say yeah.
So moved.
So, and I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
And the other two are informational items. D, and Commissioner Lockley, this was your motion. So Mr. Solomon and I met last week to review the request for qualifications for the vendors, for the TDC vendors. There was one document we were missing. He found it. He found that set of documents, sent it to me yesterday. So we're going to meet next week to finalize, and the ads will be sent to the newspaper. Okay? We got the ad fine-tuned. There was some additional instructions and some other document that they refer to in the ads that we didn't realize until we reviewed this. So we had to get those documents, track those down from back in 2018. We got them, and we're going to tweak those, and it'll be all ready to go.
What paper y'all putting
I'm sorry?
in? Where they'll be advertising?
Probably a little wider than the Apalachicola Times. Now, Aaron, when your mic is off, when we do ads, they automatically put it?
I've actually been posting all of our grant advertisements. I've actually been advertising in the Apalachicola Times, the Panama City News Herald, posting on the online bid platform Demand Star, and then also circulating the post to the Office of Supplier Diversity. So we've been trying our best to try to get as many bids as possible, and at this point in time, all of our projects we're receiving 1 or 2 bids, so that's just something.
You want me to follow that path, Commissioner, with the ads?
Yeah, that's
same
good.
way? Okay.
All of that. I ain't got no problem.
And the other informational item was the Housing Summit reminder. This afternoon, right here in your meeting room, hot or cold, at 5 o'clock. And that also be broadcast on Zoom, and all that information is on the county's website.
Michael, I had intended on being at that meeting, but we also serve on the East Point Water and Sewer Board by government appointment.
Yeah.
And we are having to have one of our necessary meetings for our budget process
Your
today
budget
at
workshop at
5:05.
Yeah.
So I will not be at that housing
Okay.
summit.
I will upload the recording of today's meeting to the county's website. Speaking of that, I'm sure Commissioner Bowles was ready to fall out his seat because yesterday's meeting with the fire coordinator went really well. And I'll say this and give it to you, Commissioner Bowles.
Sure.
But I was so proud of all the residents that attended St. James, Lanark Village, how they worked together as a team, one unified team, and I'll let you take it from there. It was really good.
Thank you. Let me put this in perspective. For months, back in the fall, we began to see a dust-up, if you will, of many, many issues that were happening with that fire department. There was dysfunction, there was dismay, there was concerns, and there was a tremendous outcry of concern from the people there at Lanark Village. As a Franklin County Board of Commissioner, we had to sit on our hands legally because we did not have any authority to do anything. And mainly because this is a volunteer organization, However, last spring, when the 911 calls in that area were disobeyed by this fire department, then and only then did Franklin County have the authority legally to get involved in this problem that the fire department was having there at St. James Lanark Village. Fast forward, all the legal infrastructure has been taken care of, and now Franklin County is sponsoring this tremendous opportunity for the Florida Firefighters Association to come in and essentially reset the quality assurance and quality standards of our fire department there at St. James Lanark Village. Last night was a good evening, a good day for our district on behalf of this fire association that came in. The meeting was held by Robert Amick. He is one of the officers of the Florida Firefighters Association. There was a reorganization department discussion. There was a department structural organization discussed. We discussed issues relating to recruitment. Attending in that meeting were approximately 30 to 35 folks in this room representing all different interest areas in that fire department district. Volunteer organizations of many different personalities and skills and talents came together to listen and to offer their assistance to the fire coordination officer. So in summary, an excellent meeting. We are gathering a tremendous number of volunteers. The next meeting will be held on site there in the Lanark Fire Department, soon to be determined by the association. Excellent time. Thank you for the folks that were there.
Good. Thank you for that report, Commissioner Bolt. That's really, really good, because if there's anything this board expressed the whole time, yes, we just want it to be good and functioning, and people to know that if they really need someone when they call, there's going to be a response to it. That's all we're after. Right. So good. I'm glad to hear it went well.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
one quick comment. I'm just glad to hear that the community has now come together
Yeah.
Amen.
Instead of division, we're coming together and trying to do the right thing for that particular community. And that's all the board, that's all I've ever wanted. Can't speak
right.
for the board, but I mean, that's all I've ever wanted, for the community to come together for the betterment of that community. That's all I ever wanted.
So I guess we're done with Mr. Morone. Attorney Schuler, you're next, sir.
Yes, sir. The first item is one I should have brought up during the clerk's report, Mr. Chairman. This regards the appointment of an attorney to represent the Value Adjustment Board. I apologize for the poor timing on my part, but the board has been using attorney Rachel Chestnut to represent the Value Adjustment Board. I used to do that as the county attorney. However, the state legislature passed a law a number of years ago disqualifying the county attorney from representing the Value Adjustment Board. I suppose I see the wisdom in that, but in any event, if the board is so inclined to reappoint Rachel Chestnut, I would ask the board to make that motion today.
So moved.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Lockley. Is it appropriate for me to ask for public comment, sir, since it's not on our agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anyone in the room wish to comment about this publicly? Seeing none, what about online, sir?
No, sir, not online.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you,
Please
Mr.
proceed.
Chairman. Item 1 has already been addressed earlier in the meeting. Item 2 is just, I'm requesting board consideration of the process I have created for the potential for the proposed East Point Overlay District. It would involve a workshop to be held before your P&Z on August the 9th. Due to a scheduling conflict, the planner, Mr. Laura Gutcher Mills, cannot be present for that first workshop, but I think that actually works to our advantage. By not having her here, we can collect public comment, provide it to her, and then when she returns for a second public workshop on September the 13th before the Planning and Zoning Board, she will have already received the public comment and can present to the public at that time, essentially a working draft. Following those 2 workshops, I would submit that draft to this board for any comments that you may have as corrections or additions. And after the board has had that input, then we would schedule the first of 2 necessary public hearings for the board to consider the adoption of an ordinance and an amendment to the comp plan for the potential adoption of an East Point Overlay Ordinance. This is very similar to the process that we followed with the St. George Island Overlay, with the exception, frankly, that we only held, I think it was 1 workshop instead of 2. The other item that I've asked here is that the board would allow me, as I have done with Mr. Pierce for a number of years when he retired. He actually was working under contract through my office, and then I would essentially add his cost to my invoice and get reimbursement from the board, and I'm asking for board approval to do the same thing for the planner, Laura Gutcher Mills, for the East Point Overlay project. So what I'm asking for today is board discussion on the process. Do y'all have a different process you want me to follow? Does this sound okay to you? There is no statute that says it has to be done just a certain way in terms of the creation of the proposed overlay. However, there is a statutory process for the adoption of the ordinance. And then the second action item, I'm asking for the board to allow me to hire the planner through my office and receive reimbursement from the board for her costs.
Are you wanting those to be 2 separate action items?
They can be
Okay.
one motion, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with the process. I mean, listen, if we're gonna change something, people need to have input. And I think this has given plenty of space for input from the public, those that we were elected to serve. And I'm good with the process as laid out here. No.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any more discussion?
And just to clarify, this is to basically make an overlay of East Point with the commercial district, I
Yes.
believe? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Yes,
you. I
ma'am.
just wanted to make a note for that for the public
Mhm.
as to what we were doing.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
My next action item is requesting authority to conduct a public hearing for the board to consider the adoption of an ordinance. We have at least 1, potentially 2 circumstances that have arisen in this case in the East Point community, but it may be elsewhere in the county as well, where we have a dedicated county right-of-way, which is unimproved for cars and vehicles, but nonetheless it is a dedicated public right-of-way. Someone has parked an RV in one instance, and it looks like a houseboat that is supported on some sort of a pile structure. And although there are lots of state traffic laws that deal with the removal of structures from roadways, this circumstance seems to have found a gap in the law. And so I need for the board to consider the adoption of an ordinance so that we can have these these vehicles removed and towed from the right-of-way, obviously subject to first giving notice to the individual and giving them an opportunity to move. So all I'm asking for this morning is board action authorizing a public hearing to consider the adoption of an ordinance on the subject matter I've just described.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? I will say this under discussion, Attorney Schuler, even if these do move, I still think we need to look at having this public hearing and enact an ordinance that will allow us going forward, should we ever run into this problem again, that we can handle it
Yes,
judiciously.
absolutely. I concur completely.
Yeah. Commissioner Parrish, did you have something you wanted to say?
Well, nothing that really needs to be said, but if we don't do something as we move forward with code enforcement, which this board has wanted to move forward with, and people cannot live in a camper on their own property, they're gonna wanna move to the county right away. If we don't establish that it's the wrong thing for them to do, so I'm good with the
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Along with this same subject in terms of just disrespectful parking or just squatting, if you will, and perhaps we have an ordinance covering this, and I'm sure our code compliance will follow through in this. There are many RVs and campers that are parked on lots in Franklin County for no other reason than just simply being there recreationally, and there's not any intention to build, or if there has been a permit, it's expired or it's very long in its process. Can we use this opportunity, if we need to carry further the ordinance for those kinds of misrepresentations?
That's coming up shortly.
Good.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a separate.
You read my mind.
All right, very well
ordinance,
then.
Possible. Is what I'm saying. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
The next action item, Commissioners, I'm requesting your authorization to conduct an enforcement of 2 apparent RV violations, one at 150 Old Ferry Dock Road, another at 158 Hickory Dip Road, East Point, Florida. It's RVs on private property. They appear to be in violation of your existing 1983 camping ordinance. Notification has been sent to both of these RV owners, and they have not complied with staff's request. And so I think an official enforcement action is going to be required, and as a standard procedure, I come to you before undertaking enforcement action. So I'm requesting board authority to enforce these 2 apparent RV violations, up to and potentially including litigation.
So move.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
The next action item is a request to hire a planner for an update to ordinance, 82-6, not 83, regulating campers and RVs. Commissioner Bolt, this is what you were referring to. The board had previously authorized me in March to update the enforcement mechanism for that 82 ordinance. It's stale, and it needs some updating for enforcement purposes. I have previously submitted to you just a draft for your consideration, but as we move forward, I would like to have the ability to hire a planner, Laura Gutcher Mills, to assist and provide testimony and evidence regarding this enforcement update to the camper ordinance, because I believe that is a prudent thing for the board to do in this particular case. So that the action I'm requesting is the authority to hire Ms. Laura Gutcher Mills to provide planning advice and testimony for a proposed update to ordinance 82-6. And again, board approval for me to contract with her through my firm and receive reimbursement from the county for her expenses.
So moved with comment.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Commissioner Ward, please proceed.
As people can see, it's requesting to hire a planner. And I spoke with Attorney Schuler about this, and Attorney Schuler, you can elaborate, because I thought, well, how do we need a planner to tell us how to do an RV ordinance? We can come up with that on our own. But as he explained, it's important and prudent for us to do this for any kind of expert advice that she may have pertaining to this, including up to any litigation. Is that correct, Attorney Schuler?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. I know the last time we talked about enforcing the RV ordinance or amending it, the room filled up stem to stern. I mean, there were a lot of people who were very passionate about living in RVs, but I understand that passion, but I also understand that it's the board's obligation to protect the tax base and the development of the tax base in the county and people's property values. And so potentially we may be sued over this, and I would like for the board to have a good planning basis for whatever action the board takes, if any, to update and amend the 1982 camping ordinance. So that's the reason why, Commissioner.
Thank you. I just wanted that for the public's knowledge, and said, why should they hire a planner when people can, I just want to make a note so they know. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Commissioner.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
And my final action is for board discussion concerning the potential purchase of land at 342 Highway 98, East Point, Florida. This is the property that the board authorized the county to purchase for the creation of a nature center / museum, using TDC funds for the acquisition and improvement of the property. Two things are pending on the contract that are conditions. One is we are still waiting on the appraisal to be returned. I still don't have the appraisal as of this morning. And then the second item that I wanted to address with the board was the flood elevation certificate for the parcel. I recall when the board was discussing the construction of the EOC and the height that was going to have to be constructed in order to accommodate the FEMA flood requirements. I wanted the board to be aware of, before we move forward to closing on the property, that based on the flood elevation certificate and the advice from your building department, the finished first floor of whatever structure you build on this property would have to be 13.5 feet off of existing grade. That is a requirement of the federal government. I don't know that there's any exception to that. I will certainly look, but your worst case scenario is 13.5 feet for the top of the finished first floor, which in my mind would make it substantially similar to other structures that have been built. For example, the bathrooms on the island, the community center here in Apalachicola. I don't think it's a problem, but I'm also not a decision maker. That's a policy for the board. So I did want to bring that to the board's attention and just have a discussion amongst myself with the board, and y'all give me any concerns or comments that you have about this particular subject matter, being the height at which the structure would have to be built.
I don't foresee that height requirement going down over time. So, and if you're looking, trying to buy property in a lot of our, not just East Point, Appalachian Carabel as well.
Yep.
If you're going to be anywhere in proximity to the water, you're not going to be able to build on grade. So, I mean, that's just part and parcel for what we're trying to do.
Okay.
So I'm good with that finding.
Okay. Very good. Again, I'm not asking for board action. I just wanted to have a discussion, and if there was something that the board thought needed to be brought up, now would be the time to do it. But, all right, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report, unless anyone has questions for me about my informational items.
Does anyone have any questions or concerns for Attorney Schuler? All right. Any commissioner comments today?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take this opportunity to put on the record for our community and congratulate you for being elected to the Florida Association of County Board of Directors representing our county. I have full faith and confidence that you'll represent us well, so congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I would like to say thank you to whatever fire departments or whoever put together the event they held this last week. in conjunction with all our fire departments, getting together, share a meal together, just have time together. I know I think I saw people from as many as 4 different departments there. Maybe it was 3. But it's the first time they've ever tried to do it. They did it on Thursday night. It was well attended for the time it was and the amount of time that was advertised. But I thought it was good. Maybe it's something prudent. Maybe it's something we see as a community we can do more of. You know, these people that are volunteering their time and putting themselves on the line need to know and understand the appreciation level that the citizens have for them. So I thought it was a very good event, and I'm thankful to any and all who helped put that together. Any other comments today?
One more thing I just remembered. I received an email from FDOT, and they wanted to let me know that they are in the design phase now for the crosswalk at the Carabel RV Resort to the beach. So it is entering the design phase. So it's hopefully going to happen this year.
Good,
hopefully.
good deal.
Yeah, they're having to take have they already passed the comment period, or that's still open too?
I think the comment period is open now with the design. So if anybody has any ideas, they can, put their comment in. But
One thing, commissioners, I really enjoy seeing you guys in your Franklin County shirts. I know in most meetings you want to dress in a jacket and tie, but I'm sorry. This looks really nice. We should do this more often rather than the jacket and tie thing. My humble opinion about that. So,
any other comments from the commission?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
You said commissioner comment?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I want to start looking for. We need a commission room. This summer. We gonna need some more building. Either commission room, redo different, or we got to have that supervisor election somewhere. We need another building. So we need to start looking for cleaning off some land, see what we got. And is it big enough for building and parking? And I'm gonna put that in motion to see what kind of land we got so we can find out. So we're gonna need some building. Either we got to build one for supervisor election or build one for ourselves and put the staff all in one building. And supervisor election can use it.
If I may, so Commissioner, yes, we're already looking at that. Aaron and I have been talking about that. So we're kind of waiting until we can get past budget, and then we're going to have some options for the board to discuss, to look at. Because Commissioner Lockley is correct. We have to make a decision as to where we're going to house. Do we need to build a new building for the supervisor? If you remember, in American Rescue, that funds, we have some money set aside. You guys agreed to for that. So but property is an issue. So we're looking, but we'll focus on that more after we get past budget. And we'll have some discussions with the board about that as to what directions you guys want to go in. Do we build a new commission room and a new building department building and put the supervisor of elections here? Or do we, do some other hybrid type of situations? But there are a few options to discuss. But Commissioner Lockley, be assured, we are talking about that and looking.
Okay.
We are. Just let us get past budget and we'll be talking about that.
All right. Well, while y'all talking about it, look and see where we got land.
Yes. Where land could be purchased, Commissioner.
Yeah,
Yes.
where land it got to be big enough for building and parking.
And parking.
Anywhere you go, now you got to have building and parking. It ain't no need of building a building where you can't park with car and park. That's just like the code out. They got the big code out there, but you ain't got no park.
Yeah.
But you got to have all that.
Include handicap and everything else.
Handicap, old cap, everything.
Mr. Chairman, isn't that what you were talking about when you spoke about a strategic plan?
Yes.
Kind of in the future,
Yes.
what we need, we as a board need to also do it as we request our departmental boards to do it, what our plan is for the next
Yes.
5 years.
Yes.
To like what Commissioner Lockley stated, so.
That's exactly right, Commissioner.
Yes.
You give me a chance to vote on it before I go.
We're gonna try to, Commissioner. We're gonna do our best, Commissioner, and make sure you can vote on it.
I'll be on the board.
Any other commissioner comments today? Meeting adjourned.